Gary Gensler's leadership has been marked by unproductive regulation by enforcement action that has jeopardized public trust and harmed our financial markets. He claims this is only the beginning. I have a message for Gary Gensler. A new day is coming. That was a tweet from Representative Tom Emmer just 12 days ago about Gary Gensler, FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, and we're going to talk to you about Gary Gensler versus the politicians versus the crypto community. My name is David. We're joined with Robin, and we are Sin City Crypto. Let's dig in. This tweet was followed by another tweet from Mr. Emmer. This was from November 10th. Interesting. Gary Gensler runs to the media while reports to my office allege he was helping Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX work on legal loopholes to obtain a regulatory monopoly. We are looking into this. Followed by Charles Gasparino, who tweeted 7 days ago, breaking, sources say a GOP House means hearings into Sam Bankman-Fried, with the focus being his meeting with Gary Gensler to create a crypto exchange, and if he was given preference because of his ties to the Democratic Party. Also, why the SEC governor didn't see the FTX implosion coming more. This is from Fox News. Now, Robin, there's been rumors that Sam Bankman-Fried was in bed with politicians, specifically from the Financial Oversight Committee. There was millions of dollars being funneled into the Democratic Party. And to be fair, there was money being funneled from other FTX executives to the Republican Party as well. So it seems like they were trying to play both sides. But the headline, of course, is going to be Sam Bankman-Fried and his donations, second largest donor to President Biden. Do you believe there was any collusion going on in giving FTX a head start with the regulation?
Man, if you think that there is no favoritism coming down from the government when you were the second largest donor to Biden and also one of the largest contributors to the Democratic and Republican parties during this latest election, the previous election, it was kind of a foregone conclusion that the Democrats were going to at least take the House and Senate, if not the presidential seat, which he put a lot of money behind it. And you know what? It paid off because why? During all of his fraudulent activities, Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX escaped litigation. They escaped the lawsuits that the SEC was throwing around our industry, and yet they were the ones with the dirtiest hands.
And it seems like they skipped the oversight as well.
And we have confirmation from multiple projects that there was information forwarded to the SEC. I don't want to go as far as saying whistleblower because a lot of this was transparent. It was not anonymous, but there was documents. There were different crypto companies that were going to the SEC saying, hey, there is malpractice and fraud going on here, and nothing was done. And, we saw that Sam Bankman-Fried had meetings with Gary Gensler, but yet there was no accountability for what they were doing, right? I mean, Gary Gensler was out here and the SEC were forming lawsuits and coming up with litigation against Kim Kardashian, other celebrities, and then also there was the court case with LBRY. We know that they've put a ton of resources into the Ripple Labs and the XRP lawsuit, and yet the biggest collapse in crypto was right under their nose the whole time, and yet they did nothing. And so for me to sit here and think that they were also the major contributor to campaign donations and the Gary Gensler's administration, which was put in there by the current administration, Joe Biden, is not a coincidence that nothing, that they didn't file a lawsuit. There was no investigation. Because think about this. Let me ask you a question, David. If he had donated $0, would Sam Bankman-Fried been under investigation by the SEC?
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
100%. The unfortunate truth is the way politics is ran here in the United States of America, money will buy you power, money will buy you allies and resources. And so no better scenario, no better case than Exhibit A, Sam Bankman-Fried, Exhibit B, FTX, Exhibit C, Alameda Research. So it's completely asinine to think that if he hadn't have donated that money, that he wouldn't be on the spotlight. Now, according to Politico reporter Declan Hardy, the SEC chair Gary Gensler faces a growing political problem. He has a shrinking number of allies in Washington, not only from the Republicans, but also from the Democrats. So we are looking at a scenario where it's us. And when I say us, it's the people that support cryptocurrency, the people that understand there is stuff happening at the SEC that shouldn't be happening. And that includes other politicians on both sides of the aisle versus Gary Gensler. Tom Emmer, a champion of cryptocurrency, went on Fox News and discussed the recent revelations with FTX and Gary Gensler. Some amazing insight here on what's been going on, according to Mr. Emmer. Let's take a look at what he has to say.
Joining me now, Minnesota Congressman Tom Emmer. First of all, congratulations on your new role as Majority Whip. I can't wait for some of the ideas that you're going to bring to that job. But I want to talk about this because you've been at the forefront of this long before the you know what hit the fan. Let's start by playing a portion of a recording of a conversation that was recalled by CME President Terry Duffy. And it's got some shocking things in here about a conversation he had with Sam Bankman-Fried. Take a listen.
Let me be your risk manager. I'll clear it to make sure it's done properly. He says, well, you won't deploy my model. I said, your model is crap. Why would I deploy a model that's going to introduce risk to the system? He turned me down, flat out turned me down. And that's right away I said to him, I said, you know what, you're a fraud. You're an absolute fraud. I went to Congress. I've never seen a Washington, D.C. like I saw that time, from the regulators to the members of Congress singing hymns that I never heard before. He said that you could lose 85 to 90% of your value overnight. And I said, he will not commit to keeping this just to crypto. I said, the reason is because he wants to deploy it across all asset classes. I said, that is a biblical disaster if you people allow this to happen.
Let me stop it right there. Singing hymns I've never heard before, and that is a biblical disaster.
And this is the
CEO of the CME.
Yeah. So the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, which is, if you're not familiar, it's the Wall Street of futures and commodities.
Derivatives.
And he had a bad taste in his mouth. I'm sure he was vocal. I mean, he's vocal here. I'm sure he was vocal when he went to White House. Why wasn't anybody listening to him? Because of what he said. He went to the White House and he ain't never seen it. He was like, yo, are you guys not seeing what I'm seeing here? But you know what? Why wasn't White House? Why wasn't the Congress seeing what he was seeing? Because they were blinded with money.
Blinded by money. You think you hit the nail on the head, my friend. And so we hear from the SEC, from Gary Gensler, from regulatory bodies. We protect the investors. Our job, our goal is to protect the investors. Caveat: unless the company pays us a lot of money, then we don't really care about the investor. And so what we're seeing unfold is we're seeing truths being put out. We're seeing new evidence come out. And at the end of the day, right, the justice system will do what it's meant to do. I don't care if you are the president or the commissioner or the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission. All the information that they know will come to light, and he will be held responsible.
Do you think this is the next Watergate? So Watergate, you had a bunch of illegal campaign funds going to Richard Nixon in the form of just cash and deposits and all kinds of fraud and wire transfers. And it seems eerily similar, right? Now, where you had the Nixon administration didn't really have any fundamental blow-ups in the financial sector or even in congressional side. So this was more about just fraud on how money was delivered. But in this case, a lot of parallels. You have basically tons of money coming into campaign donations. And it's scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And we seeing firsthand what happens when you turn a blind eye to fraud. And I adamantly believe there's going to be criminal charges brought up against some people in Congress when this all settles, because somebody knows something. Now, whether or not it's the SEC chairman, whether or not it's politicians, but there is something smells fishy here, bro. In Congress, in the White House, in the SEC's branch,
in politics,
something smells fishy. Somebody did something illegal, because there's no way Sam Bankman-Fried was running this corporation built on nothing but fraud, injecting tons of capital into the political system, and there was no fraud on that side. I'm telling you,
I agree. Let's go back and see what Tom Emmer had to say about what the CME CEO Terry Duffy was talking about.
I guess the question, Congressman, is why did you people allow this to happen?
Well, we did not. And Terry is a good friend. He does a great job at CME. He's one of the good guys in the marketplace. And it's interesting because we've had a good relationship for the last couple of years. You can ask Terry. My office has been heavily involved in this area, as you know, Charles, for more than just the last couple of years. We've been heavily involved since I came to Congress several years ago. Terry never said that directly to me, but I'll tell you what. Terry is one of the good guys, and when he goes to Sam Bankman-Fried and he offers him tens of millions in customer accounts and returns for managing his risk, and Sam Bankman-Fried turns him down, he's got the right to have the red flags go up. This literally is not just a failure of FTX, it's a failure of CeFi, that's known as centralized finance. It is not a failure of crypto. This is a failure of, it's a failure of Sam Bankman-Fried. It's a failure of business ethics, and it's a failure of the government oversight and regulatory procedures.
Yeah, and I want.
Bingo. This is not a failure of crypto. The technology has not changed. Bad actors are everywhere, whether it's in cryptocurrency, traditional finance, wherever the case may be. And I think Tom Emmer hit it right on the head. It is now up to him, up to the other champions of cryptocurrency, people that actually have some morality left in their bodies, to figure out how this was allowed to seep through the system, how the chairman of a regulatory body was able to be swayed so much into not doing his job, essentially.
Us as content creators in YouTube, the writing was on the wall, evidence was out there, and if you're a government agency, a branch of government, that your sole job, all of the hundreds of people that are staffed in your branch of government, their sole job is to make sure this doesn't happen and to take evidence, tips, to take information, follow up with it, and to prevent this from happening, or at least hold people accountable. The fact that none of that got done, extremely worrying. So, extremely worrying.
All right, my friends, we hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, subscribe. That'll do it. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.